Welcome to the Black Link Experience. I'm your host, Marva B. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine, and I'm so excited to be here. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be. Welcome, Talein, to Black Link Magazine.
Thank you so much for having me, Marva. I really do appreciate being able to share with you and your audience today.
Well, I'm excited to have you. We've been trying to get this connection going for a while. So here we are. God knows exactly when to put us together, and it has today. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself to the world. Let them know who you are and what you do in case they don't know who you are.
Sure. I am Celine Harris. I was born Kia Talein Anderson, and I'm a recording artist as well as a model and actress, a wife and a mother, a graphic designer, business entrepreneur, and pastor with my husband in ministry here in Atlanta, Georgia, called Spirit of Glory Worship Center. But probably best known, my work is when I was with the group, R&B group called Atlantic Starr, when they were signed to Arista Records for the project called Talein. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, Secret Lovers, my favorite, my favorite. So I'm excited to have you. So let's just go back and let's just talk about Talein and all of your experiences that you had throughout your tenure in this business and still going in the gospel realm, which is amazing as well. So tell me, when was it that you began singing and knew that you wanted to have this career?
And very, very early on, I knew that I wanted to be a singer, amongst other things that, God has been able to expand me into. At the age of 2 years old, and I know people are like, what? How do you remember anything at 2? But at the age of 2 years old, I was in nursery school, and my mom got progress reports from my teacher. And one of the things that the teacher said was that I loved to sing. I loved music. And then I learned the music very quickly. So this was something that I think from birth, God kind of ordained that he wanted me to do. And it has been my passion ever since. Probably at the age of 13 was when I really knew that I wanted to sing professionally. And I actually entered several different talent showcases, won a bunch of them, competed with people that you all may know. The young lady that was in Sister Act 2, Tanya Blunt, her and I competed against each other because we're from the same area. I'm from the Maryland, DC area. And so, just really continued my journey, entered a bunch of different pageants along the way, and was crowned Miss Black Maryland in 1992. And then first runner-up Miss Black USA in 1993. And from there, I had an attorney who introduced me to Atlantic Starr. And they were looking for a female vocalist at the time. And so I sang for them over the phone. And they were like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, great. We're going to give you a call in a few days. We may have you fly out to LA, which I did. I flew out to LA and did my audition there. And they said, okay, well, we're, audition a few other people. So just go to the hotel and relax, sightsee, because I had never flown before, Marva.
Oh, oh no.
I was 23 years old. I'm on this long flight from Maryland to California. And it was just it was an awesome experience. I think just because my adrenaline was rushing, I wasn't even thinking about it. Literally got off the plane and went straight to the studio to audition. So I had been on a flight all day long, basically. Wow. Like an 8-hour experience from Maryland to LA because of the time difference.
Right.
I was so excited. I wasn't even thinking about being tired or jet lagged or anything. Went to the studio, actually auditioned the song, I'll Always Love You. I don't even know if I've ever shared that with anyone.
Yeah.
Which, at that time, Whitney Houston was their label mate. She was on Arista as well. Uh-huh. And so they were like, wow, okay, she sounds great, okay, well, we're going to see, we're going to audition a few other people. So they did. Then they called me back to the studio, and I came into the studio, and Maxie, who was a part of the Mary Jane Girls, for those of you who are old school, love old school music, Rick James had a group. The name of the group was Mary Jane Girls. Well, Maxie was the Caucasian singer in the group. And she was like, oh, she called me Kia because back then that's what I wasn't Talein yet. Talein is my. So she said, oh, Kia, I know they're gonna pick you. I know they're gonna pick you. And I'm like looking at her like, this lady, how does she even know me? Right. But obviously they had been talking about me, right? So I was like, oh, okay, Maxie, well, if you say so, I'm sure, I'm just kind of just stuck like, wow, how did you know? So I went into the studio and they said, okay, we've chosen you. And immediately started recording. There was no breaks. Yeah, I enjoyed the experience. Still talk to the guys from time to time. I actually just spoke to them recently. One of them lives here in Atlanta now, not too far from me. Good. Yes, they're doing well. They're still doing their thing. And God really blessed me during that experience, and I was very grateful for it.
Yeah, we always wondered, why did you leave the group, and what had happened in that, if you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, sometimes you have difference of opinions, and we had some differences of opinions, and we couldn't work those things out contractually. Yeah. So I decided to separate from the group, came back home, and really was at a very low place, because when you do things like that and your expectations are, oh, this is great, I kind of, really am getting in the groove of my journey and what it is that I had planned to do with my life, taking that next step only to realize, oh my goodness, wait a minute. The next step didn't happen the way I had planned it to. And so, I believe it was ordained by God though. And because of that, it catapulted me into a place with him that I probably never would have been in had I stayed with the group. And I think that was the more important.
Oh yeah. I believe that God has things written, our lives written out, and things happen and we're where we're supposed to be. And sometimes we don't understand it, but then he shows us something different and like, oh, okay, maybe that's why, so I just am glad that you guys are still able to speak, you just, and no hard feelings. Like, I don't want to not talk to people, and it is what it is. We couldn't get to an agreement, but we're still family, we're still friends. Yeah. So I want to talk about, and then we'll move on after this, but I want to talk about the industry business, being the industry, and experiences that you may have had that weren't so, other than having to leave. Because I don't know if you've listened to any of my interviews, but I always talk about this because I want to educate people that are coming into the business about how this business can swallow you up if you're not prepared, and all the things that go on behind the scenes, because at the end of the day, all we see is the glitz and glamour. Can you talk about anything behind the scenes that you can share with someone that may say, hey, Talein, can you tell me or give me any kind of advice when it comes to this industry?
Yeah, sure. Wow. That's a very loaded question, Marva, because there are so many things, even that I would tell my younger self, that I know now, having gotten into the industry, or any other person that's trying to break into the industry. Sometimes you may not be a young person. You might be 30 and saying, you know what, I finally figured that this is what I wanted to do. And the interesting thing is when I met Martha Munizzi, for those of you who know Martha Munizzi, she's a praise and worship artist in the Christian community. And her and I were working on a project at the time. They never released it, but she sat down and she told me her story. And she said, Talein, my pastor told me that no one would want a 40-year-old washed up praise and worship artist, And so for me, throughout my journey, my thing has been, okay, people always trying to come at you at a different angle. Either they want you for sex, or, they want to control you or manipulate your career, want to turn you into what they want you to be rather than what you want to be. And everybody that's an artist knows kind of pretty much where their artistry flows. Now, you may need assistance and you may need help. So you surround yourself with the right team of people that believe in you and will not try to use you or manipulate you into becoming what it is that they want you to be. I would tell them to read, 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 read. Learn about the industry that you say you want to be a part of, because it's so much to this business. And coming from being a signed artist to being an independent artist, but not quite an independent in a sense that, you know, they've never had time to kind of experiences that I had.
Right.
And so I would say, you know, learn everything about the business, because there's so much, so much. Be careful of the sharks, because they're out there, the ones that are trying to, you know, take advantage of the fact that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to particularly ask you that because you said you kind of signed over the phone, and not knowing if you knew anything about the business at that time. And you know, it's people so often don't know. And maybe even, you know, I've even heard stories where a label will sign you and never release your things. But when I hear these stories and I sit down with artists that are seasoned in the business, you know, been there, done that, been signed with the biggest labels ever, you know, all the big wigs. And it's never, I'm like, where are the nice stories? Like, where are the good stories? And they, you know, they do say, well, there are good stories. If you know your business, you know, there are a few good stories. And I'm still like, son, please don't. But, you know, he has to make his own decisions. And that's why I always have that conversation.
We had and my son is 21. He just turned 21. And actually, he was the one that produced my latest single. So when he decided that he wanted to do this thing too, but from a production standpoint, and to me, I don't care what part of the industry it is, it's all crazy to a degree. I said to him, I said, son, listen, you have something that a lot of people don't have. You have a mother that's been in the business for 30 years. My mom has pretty much managed me in most of my life. Like, she was the one who made sure I got my monies from, you know, being with Atlantic Starr and all that kind of stuff, all the contracts. Like, I read books because I wanted to make sure I was knowledgeable about the contract. So when I read the contract myself that they gave me, I was like, oh no, I can't sign this, even without my attorney saying anything, because I saw things that kind of was a light bulb for me. And at the end of the day, when you're negotiating a contract, you want it to be fair on both sides. You want to be protected. You want to make sure you have an out clause somewhere in there. And for me, I would tell my son, you don't have to settle for anything. Don't let anybody rush you into anything. Take your time. Don't be enamored by any big name saying they want to do this and that and the other with you, because learn what their business practices are. Find out what kind of reputation they have. All of those things make a difference. And then sometimes you do have to bite the bullet and say, okay, you got to say, okay, well, is being in this relationship with this person for a short period of time going to garner me where it is that I'm trying to go? And how much damage am I going to have to do? Any damage control in the process? You have to really be able to evaluate that thing. And at the end of the day, you really don't know sometimes until you get in it. You might hear great things about somebody in the industry, and they be the one that do you the dirtiest. Mm-hmm. So you just never know. Just protect yourself, surround yourself with the right people. So I understand totally what you're saying, because I'm in the same position also. And I just try to protect them as best as I can. And he will come to me. So that's good. They do, Marva, have some people like that in the industry, like me, myself. Like, I'm very much like that. Mm-hmm. When I come in contact with people, I'm always trying to help. You know, I'm always trying to make sure that they're not getting taken, that they ask me my advice. I try to give them sound advice, because I was once there. And if I hadn't had the people around me that I had at the time, then I probably would have made some very costly mistakes, possibly. So, just surrounding, just continue to surround him around people that can pour into him, that he will listen to the wisdom, because that's important. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah, my stepfather used to tell me to stop singing. I would go in my room every day after school and turn on my I know I'm dating myself, but it's all right. I would have my record player with my vinyls, honey. That's all right. And it would be me and Tina Marie and Whitney Houston and Patti LaBelle, and I could just name a whole Denise Williams, who helped to mold my vocal, because I trained myself until I was 13. I didn't take lessons until I was 13 for a while. And even then I didn't take them but for about 6 months. And it was good though. It was good for me, because it taught me how to take the highs and the lows and put it all together. And have a solid vocal, which is really, really important. So I'm glad to hear that he's getting lessons. Lessons are important.
I support him. I do. It may not sound like I do. I really
just protective.
I'm just a mama bear. I am, and that's it. But I would sing your song, and I would have my microphone, my brush. I loved it.
We all had a brush, right?
Yes.
I had a brush too.
Yes, and it's still relevant today. The song, people can hear that song again and get right back in the mode again. So kudos to you for that and for being in the business. Let's talk about your single, because what is so exciting about that is your son produced it. Now, I don't know that my son will be producing anything I got going on, but let's talk about that experience, because it's always so wonderful to be able to work with your child and see your child progress, and doing the things that they do that are positive. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, like, wow, is all I can say. I had no idea that he was even gonna do it. I actually woke up in the morning with the chorus to the song. And a lot of times I get my songs in the shower, and just as I get out of the shower, and I have to have my phone somewhere nearby so I can hit the record button. And then I ran into his room and I said, "Hey, Jess, can you pluck out this song for mommy?" And at that time, he was just starting to learn how to play keys. And so he was like, "Okay, well, yeah, let's try it." So he started putting the beat together and everything. And then I called on my husband, who can really play well. And I said, "Honey, I need you to play these parts," so he got in there, he played his little parts, and Justin put them all together. And I guess the rest is history, but I was really excited to be working with him. I think it's good that, it helps to bridge the young generation with the, the more mature and seasoned generation.
And like ourselves, that's okay. It's all good.
And so I'm really, this record is very special to me. It's probably, next to, some of the things that I've done previously. My mom and I write together a lot.
Wow.
A brilliant songwriter. Oh my goodness. Latina Smith, shout outs to you, mama. I mean, like, brilliant writer. And so her and I did my first project together, and then we did my single from the last single that I released, which is Powerful Warrior. Both her and I co-wrote that together. So it's, we're like a musical family over here. We're just kind of trying to, trying to put everybody in where I can. But my son is doing some amazing things on his own. He's had several, #1 singles on iTunes with different artists and things that he's worked with. 21, oh my goodness, already, amazing. So I'm very, very excited for, his making his own mark in the industry.
I think I do. Congratulations on that and on your single with your son. I'm all about family. And if I could work with my family, and we do things like that, but whatever my son decides, like yours, he's making his mark in this business, I got his back. And if we got to go through this industry, then that's what we have to do. We'll do it with grace.
You learn over time. I remember the first time my son said, "Oh, mommy, I want to go to Miami or LA to record at the studio." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm tracking, find my friends. "Well, where are you? You okay?" So I understand the mama bear thing. I do. And it's a challenge to kind of let them, you
Grow.
know, and explore on their own. I pray a lot. I pray a lot. You know, just God will cover him in his journey.
Switching from R&B to the gospel world, how was that transition? Like, was it a struggle? Because, you know, they're two different entities totally, you know, so tell me about your experience.
So I would say a slow walking journey. And I say that because I still am on it. But I think I've come to a place where I have a greater understanding of why I made the transition and how it went the way that it did, and, you know, so forth and so on. It was a challenge in the beginning because when you're used to doing something all of your life since you were 2, basically groomed in that. My stepfather was a DJ. And so all of the latest music was in my life all the time. You know, from Earth, Wind, and Fire to, you know, Marie to Whitney Houston. I mean, like everybody, like I was just birthed in music all the time. And then, not that I didn't have a relationship with God, I knew who God was, but I didn't have a real relationship with him. I can honestly say that. And so in making that transition, God sent different ones into my life at different points in times. But the ones I think I can remember the most was I was in college at the time, and a young man who used to come to my recording studio I was a partner in Maryland, he said, you know, God told me you're supposed to be singing gospel. And I looked at him like, really? I said, well, he hadn't shared that with me. and you know, I kind of just, maybe 2 years before that, I had really just given my life to God, but I didn't know what that meant. I just kept going. I mean, I didn't know, you know, and until I realized that, okay, this relationship with God is something a little bit more in depth and detailed in that. And he wants me to use my gift. So once I, you know, came back from California and everything, and I went through that process, initially I became a part of this young adult group, and we started singing all over the city. And then we did this huge gospel explosion. And I had written songs, and this person who, you know, was working with me had written songs for me, and we did this big explosion, and it was great. However, you know, God was still needing to prune some things off of me. I had to learn that ministry and music is not about performance.
Right.
It's totally different. That's the biggest difference. Yes, your gift needs to be like on point. You know, God is a God of excellence, right? So your gift needs to be on point. So that part, you know, I had that part in reference to being able to sing, but it wasn't about performance.
Nope.
Right? I had to shed the performance spirit, and I had to know the difference. So like now I know the difference, so I can turn it on and turn it off if I need to. But really understanding my relationship with God and how that relates to music and worshiping him, and then helping people come into worship into his presence, right, was what I had to learn. And it took me from 1992 when I first got saved to about 2003 for me to understand that and operate in it and flow in it.
Yeah, it's a journey, because when you're talking about working for the Lord and ministering to people, that is totally night and day from performing R&B out there, kicking it, having a good time, performing.
Yes.
It's I think it's much more serious than that. Like, you have fun praising God. I mean, that's still there. But when you really talk about what I'm ministering to people, saving their lives, somebody running to God asking what must I do to be saved because of something I did and performed, or, you know, the lyrics matter. All of that matters when you step into the gospel, and your relationship with him matters, because I can't see not having a relationship with him, but going in there trying to do gospel.
Hey, folks try to do that. And this is the other thing that I think is interesting, because, and I mean, I can't judge anyone else's walk, so please hear me when I say this. But when I see artists making a transition and they kind of just did it, and it's like you still got a whole lot of the world still to be processed out of you, it concerns me because I'm like, you don't want to send the wrong message. Yes, we want you to minister. We do want you to do that. But it's like there's a process, though, that you have to go through. Absolutely. And no, everyone's isn't the same. Absolutely. But there is one, and you can't negate it and try to do these, big productions and projects and expect to have the same impact.
That's right.
And I think gospel is not as respected. Of course, it's, sometimes it's, but it's a needed thing. And people's souls depend on, sometimes, I hear people say, Talein, your song really, really blessed me. And I think I need to start going back to church. So it's beyond just, singing something. It's me trying to get to the heart of a person so they can find their relationship with God. I have some stuff coming up next year that's probably going to be a little bit controversial, but you know what? At the end of the day, God is love. I'll say that. And you and I can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can talk about that because I'm there. So tell us what you have going on today that you can share with us, currently.
So other than my single that I just released with my son, Rainy, RXNEY is his stage name. That's Rainy is his last name, RINEY. His first name is Justin. So Justin and I have our single. I have a duet that is being released by myself and my good friend, Carlington Roberts, who was a season finalist on Sunday's Best.
Aww.
It is an awesome, inspirational song. Oh my God, it is just so beautiful. It's called Stand With You. It's perfect for this time. All of us are going through so much with COVID and, losing loved ones. And, people are still dying from other things, cancer and heart attacks.
Yeah.
All the other things, things that we're dealing with our children and the school systems and all of those things. So we wanted people to know that we're standing with them and that we as a whole, as a people, need to be standing together. So I'm super excited about that. We're going to be doing the CD cover photo shoot pretty soon, but the song is already done. I think actually he leaked it to radio in New York.
Uh-oh.
But I love my brother just the same. He's just excited, and I don't blame him. He's originally from Jamaica. So we're going to have some international things, happening and going on. So it's almost like, I'm the representation for the U.S. He's the representation for Jamaica and the islands. And we're just all coming together as a people to stand and support one another with God, being our lead and our guide. So I'm really, really excited about that. That I have my release encounter, I call it, which is coming up on October 30th. And that's to celebrate the release of Atmosphere.
Okay.
And I'm singing some of my other songs that, previously that people may not have heard, even though the projects have been out for a while. So, I'm really, really excited about a whole bunch of other stuff coming, but y'all got to stay tuned.
We'll stay tuned. Just know, Talein, that Black Link Magazine supports you in all that you do. And if we take away Black Link Magazine and just say Marva Brown, I supported you from day one. I heard your voice. So this has been a bunch of years since I'm dating myself, right, with the age, but I've been listening to you since you came on the scene. And so anyway, we support you in all that you do. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, Talein. Go ahead and tell the people how they can find you on all social media sites.
Sure. So if you go to my official website, which is TaleinHarris.com, that's TaleinHarris.com, you will be able to link to me on all of my social medias. Of course, I'm on Instagram as Talein. I'll give them to you anyway, but I'm on Instagram as Talein. I'm on Facebook as Talein Music and Twitter as Talein Music as well. So I think I'm on TikTok too as Talein Music. Listen, it's too too many platforms.
It's too many, but we got to be on all of them. Anyway, thank you again for being here. We do appreciate you. You guys go out and follow Talein. Just go follow. If you do nothing else but like and share some of her work, please let's go do that and support one another so we can lift each other up. So we can all be successful. It's enough room for all of us. It's not about this competition thing. It's about helping others. And loving each other. So we're gonna go for now. In the meantime, remember, respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.